us. All are equal. I'm no idealist to believe firmly in the integrity of our cause and our truths. That's no idea. There's a bit of work without it.
Everything that guy just said is bullshit. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. We're holding applause till the end. Is this thing on? Yeah, it's on. Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the HCCLA Banquet. Glad we're having it back in person. My name is Joe Venus, and I am the... Thank you. We're holding all applause till the end. I am the soon-to-be immediate past president, which is applause-worthy, definitely. But before we start, I would like to recognize some important people who are here. And for these people, do hold your applause till the end for the elected officials and everybody. I just don't want Josh Hill to feel bad. He doesn't get as much applause as everyone else. So hold it till the end. Judge Abigail Anastasio is here. There she is down there. Judge Kelly Andrews. Judge Franklin Bynum. I think Judge Cornelio's here, but I haven't seen her yet. Judge Julie Countess from the Court of Appeals, saw her earlier. Judge Genesis Draper, Justice Mike Engelhardt, or Judge Mike Engelhardt, sorry. Judge Colleen Guido, saw her way in the back over there. Judge Guerra from the First Court of Appeals, Justice Guerra from the First Court of Appeals, Justice Hassan from the 14th Court of Appeals, the aforementioned Josh Hill from the 232nd District Court, Judge Kelly Johnson from the 178th District Court, Judge Danny Lacayo, 182nd, Justice Sorcha Landau from the First Court of Appeals. You can tell I don't do appellate work because I always forget to call him Justice. Judge Jason Long from the 185th District Court, Judge Jesse McClure from the Court of Criminal Appeals, I can get that one right, Judge Chris Morton from the 230th, Judge Raul Rodriguez from County Court number 13, back there at the loud table. Now, see, y'all made me lose my count. Judge Roth from the 295th District Court. Judge Hillary Unger from the 248th. There. Judge Brian Warren from the 209th, way in the back. Judge Andrew Wright from County Court number 7. And I also saw for the first time in a while Judge Sherman Ross running around here. There he is. And Judge Jay Carahan. I saw him right over there. Good to see y'all again. As far as candidates go, we have Jamal Haynes running for the 183rd back there. Our district clerk, Marilyn Burgess. Where'd she go? There she is. And Kat Parks, who's the vice chair of the Republican Party of Texas. So if we could have a round of applause for everyone that you were supposed to hold till the end. Now, Christina gave me a list of things to say, basically a script, and she gave me up to 5 minutes to talk, but I did see on the banquet announcement that came out that Brent Mayer's giving not one, but 2 acceptance speeches tonight, so I'm cutting my speech really short, just to give you all some time back. But really, over the last 6 months or so, people have stopped me in the hall and said, hey, how much time do you have left? You're almost done. I'm sure you're glad. And, I've got to say, this was really one of the best things I've done. Being able to represent this great organization in the public, in the media, around the courthouse, in some crazy committee meetings that deal with parts of the county I've never even heard of. It was an honor to be able to represent y'all, and I truly mean that. And we will be in excellent hands for the next year with Jed Silverman, who's going to take over here in about 10 minutes. So I look forward to the next. Then we have Murray coming in the year after that. So I saw him looking at me to see if I was going to say something, so I decided to. But it's going to be a great year. Thank you all for allowing me to do this for the last year. It's been a great time, and everybody enjoy your evening. And I'm glad we could do this in person again. So with that, I will start off with our awards. That means Christina, come help me out. Where are these flags? There we go. All right. For the first one, the president of HCCLA gives a President's Award every year. Sometimes there are multiple. This year, we're giving out 2. And the first one is for a guy that, if y'all don't know him, you should. He's got a great backstory. Anything you can imagine anybody would have done in the courtroom or out, this guy's done it. For those of us who do federal appointed work on the CJA list, he's really an absolute resource and somebody we couldn't do without. And he's the kind of guy that if I ever grow up, he's the kind of guy I want to be like. So the first award goes to David Adler.
So for 15 years, it's been my great pleasure to represent some of the best lawyers in Houston who are on the CJA panel over on federal court, lawyers like Christian Navarro. And so really they deserve this award, and so I accept it on their behalf. Thank you very much.
And so the second President Award is for a case that y'all may have heard about. If anyone read The Defender that came out this last spring, there was a column in there about it. It's Johnson versus State. Happened in Brazoria County with a really good search issue that was, I won't bore anybody with it, but it needed to be written, and it went all the way up to the Supreme Court. And so the lawyers on that case reached out and asked HCCLA to write an amicus brief to kind of talk about the criminal defense bar's position on this issue. And so Allison Mathis took up the charge to do that. And aside from her full work duties and her personal life, she volunteered to write this really good brief that went up to the Supreme Court. And the best thing about it was that it had my name on it, and I didn't do anything to do that. So she wrote it, she did all the work, and her name went on it third. Alex Bunnan was on there, I was on there, and Allison was on there. And it was a great job. In that article in The Defender, there's a link to that brief, so if you want to read it, go check it out. But I really appreciated everything that she did for in writing that and bringing that issue to the attention of the Supreme Court. So Allison, come on up.
Thank you, guys. I always appreciate an occasion to get a new hat. I really think that the honor should go to John Landers and William DeMond, who are the ones who took this case and ran with it. They did awesome work, and when I realized that I had no idea what I was doing and that it would cost $1,300 to print and bind this amicus brief before it went up to SCOTUS, I thought, who can I text in the middle of the night and ask for $1,300? And so I called Damon Parrish, and he made it happen. So I really appreciate the board's quick action to help me out of a bind, and thank you, HCCLA and Joe.
Okay, so if I get Earl Music and the rest of the incoming board to join us up on stage, we'll swear in everybody, and then... Oh. Wait, hold on. I forgot someone. Or did I? I forgot that I was giving out this award, because I really don't want to. But I will. No, I'm just kidding. So, Member of the Year is an award that we as the board vote on, and it's somebody who just kind of epitomizes everything that we want to happen as a criminal defense lawyer. Somebody who's always there to help out, who's good in the courtroom and can help other people out. And this year, in one of the weirdest years we've had, really since I've been down here in the last 20-something years, he stepped up. He led the strike force. He called people in the media. He blogged a lot. And so, it wasn't very close who the award was going to go to, except my vote didn't count. So to my first, this tells you a lot about your first boss out of law school. Murray was my first chief. I was Josh's first chief. So there's definitely a common thread here going on with weird things going on at the CJC. But Murray Newman, Member of the Year. Congratulations, Murray.
Just goes to show you, if you give someone a very inflated evaluation when they're your 3, that 20 years later it will pay off for you. It has been my pleasure to head the strike force. I'm filling in some very big shoes of some people that stood up there when there weren't many people standing next to them. A lot of people have a lot more guts, like Rob Fickman and Mark Bennett, who were not afraid to be unpopular. I'm a little more worried about that, but they paved that trail. I am glad to take up the mantle that they set in front of me, so thank you all.
Okay, so here comes Earl. All right, so the new officers coming in are Jed Silverman. Come on up, Jed. Her second time to the stage, Allison Mathis. His second time to the stage, President-elect Murray Newman. Secretary Kate Farrell. There she is. Treasurer Justin Harris. Where'd you go, Justin? There he is. And me. And board members Lisa Andrews, Brian Asen, Stacy Bigger, Lori Botello, Sean Darvishi, Neil Davis, Catherine Evans, the Honorable Catherine Evans, Brent Mayer, no speeches, Stephanie Morales, Brett Podolsky, Wade Smith, JV Part 2, Vic Vidge, Angela Welton, and Ronnie Yates. Hello. This? Okay, sure. Scoot, we're getting in for pictures. Down there. All right. Oh, God. Are we spreading or are we scooting?
Move out of your way.
Do whatever Bob tells us to do. Oh, there he is. Here, Earl, scoot here. Here, let's put this down. Do what? Oh, for the picture? No, we're doing the picture. No, don't raise your right hand for the picture.
Raise both hands.
Right. Yeah. Not that kind of picture. It's a mugshot. All right, there we go.
Okay, if you'd raise your right hand, I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that as an officer or director of the Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association,
Solemnly swear as an officer
Too much.
of the Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association. Proceed.
I will support and defend the principles
I will support and defend the principles
and the goals of the organization.
and the goals of the organization.
I will support and defend the Texas and United States Constitution.
I will support and defend the Texas and United States Constitution.
I will strive to protect all citizens' rights to counsel,
I will strive to protect all citizens' rights to counsel.
and I will well and financially discharge the duties of the office faithfully, I'm sorry, not financially, faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter. So help me God.
So help me God. There you go.
Thank you.
There you go. All right. Good job, Earl. Thanks, Earl. Appreciate it. Yeah, y'all get out of here. Hit the road.
Good job. Thank you, Earl.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
The best one to get hugs.
I'm not going to hug you.
Catherine, can I have a hug?
Of course.
Thanks.
Yeah. Where's time? There's time. Yeah. And then I'll pass it to you.
Do my speech.
Yeah. Where is Christine? She's way back. I'll get to her.
All right, hold the show for a second, guys. Christina, could you join us on the stage, please? Christina Appel. Thanks, guys, for giving me a minute. Jed and Joe and I are going to take this moment to recognize our executive director of 20 years for HCCLA, Christina Appelt. 20 years ago, HCCLA, with the help of Troy McKinney, made a great decision to hire Christina Appelt to run this show, to keep this going. 20 years later, she's still here putting up with all of us. The past presidents of HCCLA got together. We put together a very nice gift to commemorate 20 years of putting up with us all. For all the past work that you have done, for being the glue that keeps HCCLA together, and for 20 years of your service. Thank you very much, Christina.
On an Applebee's gift card.
I need to say thank you.
Yeah, sure.
I'd like to say thank you, but I want us to stay on schedule. So I'm going back to work and enjoy the night. Thank you.
And so now I officially pass the torch of HCCLA's president, or Office of the President, to Jed Silverman, who's going to do a fantastic job over the next year. Jed, it's all yours.
Thank you very much.
So, the board was on the fence about whether or not to have this banquet, and then we have to thank the president for having the State of the Union address, and our board meeting where we made the decision to have this banquet was right after the State of the Union. And when we voted on it, I was like, well, it's ridiculous. We have to have a banquet. They had a State of the Union, and so we're just extremely, all of us, happy to be here. It's just been too long. And when I think about what everybody, all of us do, each one of you are my hero. Because it's not an easy job that we have. And with us tonight is Ella Silverman, my 4-year-old daughter. And Ella and my wife, Mana, they're the center of my universe. They keep me grounded. And when I think what my 4-year-old daughter goes through in her 4-year-old life, she says to me, "Daddy, I have to be brave." And each one of you are brave. And as your president, in the course of being brave, when you walk into courtrooms, and it's no small thing that each of you do when you walk into a courtroom on a Monday morning and announce ready for trial. It's the ultimate form of bravery, just like a 4-year-old's first experiences in life. And I have somebody also who I have sitting at my table tonight, who some of you may know, who's Thomas Locke. And Tom Locke's a criminal defense lawyer who is battling cancer right now, debilitating cancer. And I'm honored that he's at the table with me. And, Tom is, I wouldn't talk about this unless I had a HIPAA release because I'm a lawyer. But Tom shares his struggles with a not very favorable prognosis with the same bravery that a 4-year-old has in going through her life, like my daughter Ella. And Tom has great posts on social media, like after you've had chemotherapy, I've really mastered the art of not getting sick on my suit on the way to court. Tom has posts like, this is a meal supplement drink that you can drink when the cancer's just so overburdened your system that you can't eat food. And it's just, Tom and I are completely different. I'm a left-wing pinko, okay? I am, and he's a right-wing extremist. And I think there's hope for the United States of America because him and I love you, Tom. And the bravery that Tom has is it's just amazing. 3 weeks ago in the 412th District Court in Brazoria County, he tried a felony case and got a not guilty verdict in the middle of the throes of this cancer. And I want everybody to give him a round of applause because he's a hero. And when I think about what each of you do and what I need to do as your president in supporting you, I think Henry David Thoreau put it a whole lot better than I ever could when he said, "Disobedience is the true foundation of liberty, and the obedient must be slaves. May we never be slaves." And what each of you do, all of us do, is a huge form of civil disobedience to question the government in the accusation that they make against our client. And a lot of times when we're in the throes of battle, we start to question what we're doing. Am I really seeing this clearly? Is what the state's doing, is that correct? Is how the judge is treating me, is that legal? And as your president and as my board, we'll be there for you to answer those questions because sometimes it gets foggy and it gets scary, and we'll be there for you, and I'll be there for you. Now, on a much lighter note, now I'm going to tell you a story. probably almost 30 years ago. God, nobody gets that old. But almost 30 years ago, I worked for a past president of the Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association, very distinguished man by the name of William Benjamin House. And William Benjamin House is a really great name if you're a lawyer in Connecticut or New Jersey, but maybe not in Houston, Texas. And I see a lot of our more experienced members smiling because they know exactly who I'm talking about. And when Benny, because that's what we called him, those of us that knew him and loved him, it was Benny House. And Benny House stood on a stage just like this, and he became president of the Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association, just like I've just become president tonight. And Benny House, like a lot of you, imbibed a bit too much at the Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association. He drank too much, and he left the party in his big American car and went barreling down the road and jumped the railroad tracks and blew out the 4 tires in his car. And the response time of the Houston Police Department back then was a whole lot better than it is today. And so the Houston Police Department showed up, police officer arrested Benny for DWI. Benny gets taken down to the police station, and then somebody like one of my new loyal board members rushed into the police station and said, do you realize who you'd placed under arrest for DWI? This man was just sworn in as president of the Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association. And I have some really bad news for the board, for my newly elected board members. It didn't mean crap. Benny still got charged with DWI, so this is my public service announcement for all of you that have had too much to drink tonight. Take an Uber. Your new position with the board is not going to get you out of your DWI case. Thank you very much. And now, with respect to, this is kind of, it's been a somewhat awkward presentation because we presented last year's awards, and so we're combining multiple years' awards. So we're going to have now our awards, which will be kind of duplicative, but they are this year's awards that we're about to present. And with that, I would ask Rob Fickman to come up.
Before he does, is Joe Venus still here? He's left? Okay.
Okay. And we wanted to thank Joe Venus for his service. Joe, COVID was challenging for all of us, and for a president of the Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association, equally challenging. And Joe did just a tremendous job. I really appreciate it. Congratulations. Thank you.
It's an Earl Campbell signed Houston Oilers helmet.
Don't break it.
All right, I'm leaving that here.
Damn.
Dude, that is insane. That's so cool. Damn. Thank you for picking up.
And now Rob Fickman is going to present the Lifetime Achievement Award. For Craig Washington. All right.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think Craig's name's coming up. I've been advised I have time limits by the lady that was just up here, so I'm starting my timer. The Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association is honored
to present Craig Washington, the Honorable Craig Washington, with a Lifetime Achievement Award. It's one of 6 that's being presented tonight. Craig Washington is one of the finest criminal defense lawyers that has ever practiced in Harris County. When Wendell Odom, my office mate, was in college, he asked his father, Judge Wendell Odom, who were some good criminal defense lawyers to watch. And Judge Odom, the Honorable Judge Odom, told Wendell there were 3 lawyers to watch: Percy Foreman, Richard Racehorse Haynes, after whom this award is named, and Craig Washington. That's quite a thing. Most of us wouldn't make that list. One of Craig's most famous cases was the Eroy Brown case. In 1981, Eroy Brown, an inmate at the Ellis unit, was accused of murdering the warden and farm manager. These were the 2 highest-ranking TDC officials to ever be killed. The warden had been drowned face down in a ditch. The farm manager had been shot in the head with the warden's gun. Eroy Brown admitted to killing the 2 men, but claimed he had acted in self-defense. The odds were very high that Eroy Brown would be convicted. In the book, The Trials of Eroy Brown, author Michael Berryhill describes how Craig came to represent Eroy Brown. He says, Bill Hayburn, our own Bill Hayburn, told Brown that they needed a strong first chair, a lawyer who could take the inmate witnesses apart, who could speak eloquently and improvise in a tight situation. The choice was obvious, and that was Craig Washington. He could win over juries. He was tall and he had a commanding presence. He spoke in a deep, resonant voice. So Craig Washington took the Eroy Brown case and fought, and after 3 remarkable trials, Eroy Brown was acquitted. There's no talking aloud while I'm talking. No one thought this case would be won, but Craig did the impossible. Not for the first time, nor for the last. Craig Washington is one of Houston's most eloquent lawyers, and anyone that's ever heard this man speak knows what I'm talking about. No one's more eloquent than Craig. Listening to Craig speak is a pleasure. You don't want him to stop talking. Craig starts, and unlike most of the rest of us, he doesn't go, He speaks, and it continues. When Craig speaks, it's like music. It's like music. And nobody else has that voice. I said I wanted to pay for that voice. I wish I'd had that voice when I was younger. Certain situations. Craig Washington is also a natural-born leader. Craig told me this about leadership. You are not a leader because someone appointed you. You are a leader because you are walking in a direction. You see something needs to be done. Where you see something needs to be done. There's no one walking in front of you. There are few people walking behind you, and even fewer people walking beside you. You walk in the direction where something needs to be done, not because you want to, but because you have to. It is who you are. I told Craig that this was his time while I was up here, and I asked him about if there was a personal story that he might want me to relate. And he said there was one. And he told me this story, and as far as I know, no one else has ever heard it. And it involves his Uncle Conway Stone, Uncle Conway Stone's son, which I guess would be his cousin, Max Stone, and W.J. Estelle, some of you may have heard of, the former director of the Texas Department of Corrections. So I'll tell you this story now. Craig was already a very well-known defense lawyer. He was in the State House at the time. He had done a lot. He had already earned a name for being a civil libertarian and someone who would fight and would not back down. That's who Craig Washington is. And Craig got a call that his favorite uncle, Conway Stone, had passed away. It was a sad call. So he went to Northeast Texas because that's where the funeral would be, where his family's from, up in Northeast Texas. And he got there and the family had gathered and they were all mourning. They were all very sad. And Craig looked around the house and he noticed that Max Stone was not there. Mac is Uncle Conway Stone's son. So he asked, where's Mac? Where's Mac? I mean, his father's passed. Where is he? And the family, he said, was shamed. They hadn't told They hadn't told this to Craig, but Mac had gotten in trouble, big trouble, and he'd been sent to TDC. The funeral was the next day. Mac didn't even know that his dad had passed, and he was somewhere in the bowels of the Texas Department of Correction. This was the night before the funeral. They told this, they were very sad. So their sadness, the family sadness was heightened. First there was the death, and then there was this tremendous extra sadness multiplier factor that this young man was not going to be there to properly see his father off. So Craig did what Craig does. He stepped out, he found a phone, he made a call. He called the personal home phone of W.J. Estelle, the director of TDC. Now, you may wonder how he got that number, but through all of his efforts and work in the State House, he had arranged and had a relationship, I guess, of sorts where they had respected one another. They might have been adversaries, but they respected each other. So Craig called W.J. Estelle, and by the time he got off the phone, W.J. Estelle said that Mac would be at the funeral the next morning. Craig did not tell anybody in the family. He didn't know if that would happen. Mac was somewhere in the bowels, as I say, of the TDC. So the next morning, they went to the church. The family gathered. They were all very sad. And the funeral was just about to start. In their sadness, the back doors of the church came open, and in walked Mac Stone. He did not walk in wearing TDC clothes. He did not walk in wearing shackles. He did not walk in wearing cuffs. He walked in wearing a suit and tie. And the guards were there, but they were behind him. And they were properly attired in a coat and tie out of proper respect. So the family, in their moment of sadness, extreme sadness with the loss of their family member, of Uncle Conway, there was a lifting of some of that sadness because Mac was able to be there. Mac was able to show his father's proper respect and be there with the family to join them in saying farewell to his dad. And so this was a story that represents who Craig Washington is. It shows you the respect that he had earned. But the fact he could pick up and call W.J. Estelle and make that happen. It shows you the heart that he had for his family, the love that he had for his family. And it shows you once again, he did the impossible. Nobody else could have done that. That's the man we honor tonight. Craig Washington, our friend.
Hi, this is Craig. I'd give anything to be there with you this evening, but I'm hiding out in Bastrop from the coronavirus, and I'll be here until I know for sure that it's over because this is one of the highest honors of my entire life, not just my legal career, but my entire life. And I'd really like to be there, but I can't. I hope y'all are having a wonderful time, and I'm honored beyond measure that you would include me in the wonderful things you're doing there and the wonderful things you do with your lives. I think that lawyers, especially criminal lawyers, are liberty's last champion. I started out a long time ago when I was a baby lawyer. You can imagine how many eons ago that was. I got some good advice. I don't know why judges took a liking to me and bailiffs took a liking to me. They'd come and find me and say, hey, Craig, go up to such and such a court and watch this lawyer. But don't watch the whole trial. She's just good at cross-examining, picking a jury or whatever. And I'd go and do that. So I'd watch Mr. Wade, with whom I officed, Mr. Foreman. Never got around to calling him Percy by his first name. I'm more formal than that. Y'all have seen me in court. I always ask to be excused. Young lawyers laugh at me now for asking to be excused, and I still do it. Watch Mr. Haynes, Mr. Racehorse Haynes. I tried cases with Rusty. Rusty was a prosecutor, and we tried a murder case together. We got a 6-6 verdict, and so that's as close as we ever got to a verdict. Tried a case with Dick DeGuerre. Tried a case with a lot of Ron Woods, Tony Canales, Bob Moen, Jack Botiford. Lots of lawyers. It's been my pleasure. Every trial that I've ever been in, I've learned something. Keep your eyes and ears open, mouth closed unless you're talking, and you'll come out ahead. I don't deserve this honor. I just held the light and God chopped the wood. But I gladly accepted it. I thank you for nice things that Rob said about me. It's been my pleasure to follow this trail from wherever I started to where I am now. I'll be around for a little while. I'm sitting up in the bleachers. Stay strong. Never be afraid to speak up for what's right. We're watching you guys. We're waiting on you guys. God bless you.
So our next 2020 Lifetime Achievement Award is going to go to Wendell Odom, and I would ask Neil Davids III to join me here at the podium.
Calm down. Everybody get down. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I've worked with Wendell Odom, and by the way, I'm Neil Davis III, not Neil Andrew Davis. I don't know where he is. I've worked with Wendell for almost 17 years. And most of us, if not all of us, know that Wendell was the son of and graced with the namesake of one of the greatest judges the state has ever had. Rob Fickman mentioned him as it's Judge Wendell Odom. I didn't have the opportunity to meet Judge Odom. I was a year too late. But some of my favorite memories, some of the favorite moments that I have with Wendell is when we first get to the office and we sit down and we talk first thing in the morning, and he usually we'd talk about some of the advice Judge Odom would give, usually through nice short snippets. And one of the first wisdoms I learned was, if you win in trial, smile, say thank you, and get out as fast as you can before anybody changes their mind. Wendell and I intend to do that tonight. If anyone deserves an award that defines lifetime achievement and is associated with Richard Haynes, it's Wendell Odom. I probably could spend hours talking about his achievements, but we're limited, thank God, to just a few minutes. So let me tell you why, in my opinion, why Wendell is worthy, and why, in my opinion, he is one of the premier criminal attorneys in this country. One, he studies the law. Therefore, he knows the law. If there's an issue that's new, or on the rare occasion he doesn't know, he researches immediately. I'll come into the office with a question, really just asking for a short answer. And he's going to say, well, I'm not sure, let's look in the books. And we're in the books looking, even though I just wanted a short answer or an opinion. And he's researching and trying to figure it out. He reads the advance sheets every day, and he marks them, and he can remember them. There'll be a question you may ask, and he said, you know, I just read a case about that. He maintains a constant current knowledge of the law because he knows how it changes rapidly. So if you're a young attorney, you study the law, you read the law. Number two, and this really defines Wendell, I think, for everybody who knows Wendell, it's his kindness. He is kind. I've never met anybody who has ever had a bad thing to say about Wendell. And that's how I've learned to practice. Be kind and you get more usually. And if you don't, the government lawyers are going to be fooled into thinking that this kindness is some sort of weakness. And God help you if you're lured into that trap, because Wendell he will be kind before trial, but when trial comes, that's number three. He's one hell of a trial lawyer. Jurors love Wendell because of his kindness. Prosecutors, especially those who know Wendell, will see his kindness morph into some sort of calculated attack that's not too loud, but loud enough so the jurors look at the prosecution and seem to say, yeah, that defense attorney is right. In the mornings before we have trial, he'll pull out his opening statement and he'll revise it into some geniusly crafted theme of a case that we just really couldn't seem to fully develop. He does it just on the snap. Wendell has taught us that when we really want to make a point during trial, like during cross-examination, or even in direct, you ask a question with righteous indignation and you look at the jurors, and they understand that that's a point that you want to make, even if it's not important. And his closing arguments, jurors always hang on to his every word, which is sometimes the attorneys that are sitting at the table with him don't want you to do, because a lot of times Wendell will get years, names, things mixed up. We call them Wendellisms. One time he tried a tax case and was talking about the year 1999 when all the taxes were in the 21st century. And like I said, the really important stuff is trial, but the really important stuff is to know the law. What a lot of people may not know is that Wendell was the chairman. He was the past chairman of the Texas Bar Association Committee on Drafting Juror Instructions for Criminal Attorneys. Those three things make you a model attorney, make you a perfect attorney. And he was destined to be one of the greatest attorneys. He debated in high school and college. I call him a master debater. He went to maybe a half a dozen colleges, including Oxford in England, and Emory in Atlanta, and Houston in Houston. But here's a nice little tidbit. He never graduated from undergrad. He had enough hours to somehow get into Baylor Law School. Carol Vance hired Wendell out of law school, and he worked with the Harris County DA's office for 4 years, and he rose to the ranks of Chief of Financial Crimes, went to the U.S. Attorney's Office with Tony Canales, and he prosecuted federal cases. As a matter of fact, he tried one of the first RICO cases in the Southern District. But then he struck out on his own. And like what Rob Fickman said, the judge told him to look at certain people. Percy Foreman, Racehorse Haynes. He talked to Percy, Racehorse could put him up, but he struck out on his own, and he's been with several attorneys, and for the last 17 years we've been Odom, Davis, and finally Hobson. Wendell did ask that I mention something about this little firm that we have. Wendell, Brian, and I were also Attorneys of the Year for 2020. We were able to win a rather complicated federal case and get 25 not guilties on a 25 verdict federal case. With the help of our good friend and great attorney, Bill McMurray, who's here, you stand, Bill, and Brian Hobson, who's our other firm. Yeah, go Bri. Wendell and Brian worked with Pat McCann, who's the guru of capital cases in my head, to reverse a case, a capital case, because the court refused to allow Pat to test him for competency. So, but back to Wendell. Throughout his career, he's handled cases you can Google all over the internet. He was with the Branch Davidians, Enron, the BP plant explosion, Andrea Yates. He's defended wealthy clients, athletes, movie stars, and even a family member of a president. You may have known about that because one of the things that Wendell will tell you is that if your clients want to stay out of the media, you come to him. He keeps a lot of his famous clients under wraps from the media. But he's also defended the downtrodden, the poor, the hopeless, and the helpless. His East Texas country boy facade that is stoic, he'll never admit this, but when he works, he defends any client the same way he would defend anybody else. He's a passionate lawyer. He's the most passionate lawyer I've ever seen. He hates to lose, but the one characteristic of a Wendell that really defines him is he loses gracefully and he wins gracefully. The Racehorse Haynes Lifetime Achievement Award is, to me, HCCLA's Hall of Fame. Football has Earl Campbell and Jim Brown. Baseball's Jackie Robinson, Yogi Berra. Boxing has Jack Dempsey and Rocky Marciano. We have Racehorse Percy, Mike Ramsey, and a few select others. But now we have Wendell Odom.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
The symbolic box.
All right, the symbolic box, okay. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank all the little people that made this possible. Seriously, what a great job we've got. You know, no one has better cocktail conversation or war stories than criminal defense lawyers. And what other job can you get to where you wake up at 3:30 in the morning in a cold sweat on a regular basis, wondering whether you're going to go trial the next morning and knowing you could be more prepared, right? And what other profession can you be in where the other people in the profession look down on you because you represent people charged with a crime? But I'll tell you a secret. Those other lawyers, secretly in their heart of hearts, they're jealous. Because when we represent a client, we go to the courtroom, and we often go to trial, and a person's freedom and a person's liberty, and sometimes their life is contingent upon our lawyering skills. I'll tell a brief anecdote and sit down. Back in the day, there was a private club in Houston called the Inns of Court. It was downtown, and you could get a quick bite to eat, go back to your office or the courtroom. And after hours, you could socialize with other lawyers. You could network and such. And as Craig Washington said, when I was a baby lawyer, and I was a baby lawyer, I was allowed to sit at a room with some of the greats of our profession at the time. Racehorse Haynes was there, Mike Ramsey was there, Craig Washington was there, I think there was a DeGuerin. And someone brought up the subject of what's going to happen when we're gone. Who's going to be the next lawyers that take our spot? And the reason they said that is because they looked to their role models, which were Percy Foreman, Bill Walsh, people like Marion Rosen, Clyde Woody, and those people looked to their predecessors, who were people like people like J.J. Collins and a guy named Old Judge Bell. You see, we have a great history of really good criminal defense lawyers in this city. And that, when I look out on this table and I see the people here and I see the people that have gathered and part of this organization, I realize that was the stupidest whiskey talk conversation I've ever heard. You guys are great. You're kicking ass. You're representing the accused. The other day, you stood up to an arbitrary judge. And because you are giving us this award, I couldn't be more humble and grateful, and I thank you. I'm going to take it. We're going to take it? He wanted to take it.
Oh, hold on, Wendell. Oh, let's get a picture.
All right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. I don't know about you, but I want to practice law in any office that still has paper advance sheets and books. So next, our Lifetime Achievement Award for 2020 goes to my good friend, Paul Schiffer. And I would ask Brent Mayer to come up and introduce Paul Schiffer.
How great is this to be back together again? I love seeing everybody here. I'm really honored to present this next award. I wanted to prepare some remarks, but I just picked my third jury in the third week in a row. And so I'm just going to speak from the heart about my good friend, Paul Schiffer. My first experience with Paul Schiffer was in 2004. I just started with the Harris County District Attorney's Office. I'd been a prosecutor less than 6 months, and I was on a roll. I was just kicking butt, taking names, winning trials. I get moved into Court 13, Judge Mark Atkinson presiding. Craig Still was my chief at the time. And I get handed this DWI case against this attorney, Paul Schiffer, who I had no idea who he was. I'm thinking, all right, this looks like a pretty good case. I put it together, I get it together. We get into voir dire, and I listen to Paul. And I looked down at my notepad and I realized I haven't taken any notes about anything that any of the jurors have said. And it's because I had just been sitting there just like, listening to every word that was coming out of his mouth as he's picking the jury. And I'm like, wow, this guy's really good. We get into trial. Judge Neil Richardson is sitting in for Judge Mark Atkinson, and I'm just doing everything I can to make my case, doing everything I can. Paul just keeps poking away, poking the holes in the cases. I know that I'm about to lose this case, and we have a break. We have about a day before we've got, or actually no, we had an hour break before we had to do closing arguments. So I go back to Deanne Birdwell, who's Judge Atkinson's court reporter. I go back in her office, I sit down, and I plan out this closing argument. I come out in front of that jury, and I get up there as the prosecutor, young prosecutor, and I give this closing argument. I put my heart and my soul and my passion into this closing argument. Paul gets up there, just amazes this jury, just tells them why his client's not guilty. Now, Deanne Birdwell came up to me afterwards. She's like, Brent, I've been doing this 10 years. That was one of the best closing arguments I've ever heard a prosecutor give. And I'm like, yes, I'm going to pull this one out. I'm going to pull this one out. Yes. 15 minutes later, the jury came back not guilty. It's what Paul did after that that really made an impression on me. I mean, watching him in trial was unbelievable. By that point, I had tried some lawyers against some good cases, Ned Barnett, Andrew Williams. I'd seen some good lawyers that were members of this organization, but when I tried that case against Paul, I saw something unbelievable. I saw what it meant to be a trial lawyer, to take a juror and to capture them with your words. He did it. But what he did after that is what really stood out to me. He goes to Denise Bradley, who was my chief at the time before she took the bench, and told her what a phenomenal job I had done in the trial. And I remembered how honored I was by that. And our friendship would grow from there. When I decided to leave the office and go into private practice, Paul was the first person I went to. And Paul taught me everything that I needed to know to be a good criminal defense attorney. For all the young lawyers in the room, I want you to listen to what this man has to say, because he knows how to be a good lawyer. He knows how to run a good practice. He knows how to fight for his clients. He knows how to win over a jury. And every day since then, it's just been great. We joined up in an office together a few years back. We've tried many cases together, and Paul is just the kind of lawyer that you want to be. We just recently invited Stan Schneider to come into our office, and I told Paul this. This is probably, I called him up after Stan told me this, but Stan told me that, he's been practicing with all these different lawyers for 25 years, but now that he's come in and he's sitting here and he's talking with Paul, it's fun to practice law again, is what Stan says. What a compliment from a great lawyer like Stan Schneider to say how much he's learning after practicing for all these years from listening to what this man has to say. He is truly, truly deserving of this Lifetime Achievement Award. I strongly encourage all of y'all, especially the young lawyers in this room, listen to what he has to say about his experience. He's been practicing for over 42 years, and he's done incredible work for his clients, but he is a magnificent lawyer and absolutely earning of this award. My friend, Paul Schiffer.
Thank you. Thank you, Brent, for grossly exaggerating things. I love practicing with Brent. No humor. We have stories. I love practicing with Brent. As you saw here, and speaking to a room full of trial lawyers, you know that sincerity is everything. And when, like Brent, you have learned to fake it, you know you've made it. I'm honored to be the one of the 2020 recipients of the coveted Let's Look Around and See Who's Still Alive award. I understand that I was also in the running for Let's See Which Lawyers Haven't Saved for Retirement. When Neil Davis called me and told me that I was the recipient, I didn't believe him. Neil and I are great friends, and we prank each other a lot. And I didn't believe him. I said, I couldn't believe it. Like, why me? I look around here, and I see people who I admire, who I learn from on a daily basis, everybody. Why me? And I asked myself. And then I thought, well, you know, perhaps in my entire career, I have only lost 2 appeals. And then I quickly remembered that I've only handled 2 appeals. So, I find myself here amongst my peers. I've been doing this 47 years, and some things change, but a lot of things stay the same. My experiences as a young lawyer are your experiences as young lawyers. I feel very comfortable in this crowd of outlaws and misfits, people who are willing to challenge authority on a daily basis, who stand up for justice. When we all as lawyers were sworn in and swore to uphold the Constitution, it's only us that do that. We're the only ones who know what Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, 14th Amendment practice is all about. We challenge authority. I'm in a friendly crowd here. People who get nervous before they go to trial, no matter how many times you've done it before. People who are up the night before your trial, putting the last touches on the best presentation you'll ever make, and then go to court and do the very best you can. This is a good crowd. I'm happy to be there here with my friends and with people I respect. The last thing I want to do is recognize the person who deserves this Lifetime Achievement Award, and that is my wife, Lee. We have been together almost closing in on 40 years. Lee's a brilliant lawyer in her own right, but while she's not a criminal lawyer, she's general counsel for a NASDAQ-listed company. She has experienced every trial and tribulation that I have gone through. She has been my inspiration. She has been my sounding board. She has brought me back to ground when I've been delusional, thinking that I could win a case. She has given me inspiration. She has given me cross-examination. If there's any lawyer that I have relied on more than her, well, there is no lawyer. I've relied on a lot of you for the things that make us all great. When I say that some things stay the same and some things change, what I see as the most significant change in my career is this organization. This organization is powerful. This organization shares an intellect. We can rely on each other for advice, experience, new thoughts, ways to challenge the law. And what has always struck me about our practice is that we are a small group that is linked by a common theme of seeking justice and protecting the citizen accused. But we can ask anybody that we know to come to our aid, our assistance, ask them for help, and in a heartbeat, they will be there. My son, Jacob, got licensed to practice 2.5 years ago. What a smart guy. I mean, I thought that I was pretty good. I'm a better lawyer for talking to him on a daily basis, and he doesn't even practice criminal law. He's smart. He's going into personal injury. He's developing that practice. But he, like you, think ahead. You set it up like David Cunningham did recently, set it up to pull the rug out from under the state to get that instructed verdict. I appreciate every one of you. Thank you for being my friends. Thank you for giving me the inspiration. Thank you for giving me the courage to keep trying. Thank you.
And our next 2020 Lifetime Achievement Award is going to go to Wayne Hill, and I'm going to ask Gerald Bork to come up here to present it.
Let me just tell you, this is a family's affair. Our families are just connected in the deepest way. I really don't ever remember Wayne not being here. All of you guys, or most of you, you hung out your shingles and you're driving your own train. Let me tell you, it is no small thing to drive your own train, toot your own whistle, and shine your own light. People sit in your office and you have to talk them out of their money so that you can feed your children. That's what we do. And no one did it with greater heart and caring and mercy and grace than Wayne Hill. Susan, Wayne, Josh, Matt, Taryn, family, friends, and colleagues, this is my highest honor, to stand here and introduce you to my very good friend, Wayne Hill. Not yet. They had the Little League picture up there. I hope they can get back to it because it's the heart of what I have to tell you. Did you see the picture of them at the Little League? How many of you have pictures of you or your children at the Little League Park when they were kids? And you just thought it was a Little League picture. Please find that picture. Go back and stop there. That picture is when Wayne and I became the best of friends. We just didn't know it yet. God does funny things for you in your journey, but we're connected like that. Wayne is an uncomplicated, complex man. He is John F. Kennedy. He's Gandhi. He's Wally from Leave It to Beaver. He's the dad from Father Knows Best. Are y'all following me here? He's not a one-dimensional man. I know I'm going to get this wrong. But he is Rabbi Maimonides. If you're not Jewish, you don't know who he is. If you are Jewish, I apologize for butchering the name. But he's that guy too. In the 12th century, he wrote the Mishneh Torah, and interesting enough, it's titled The Guide for the Perplexed. Wayne is the guide for the perplexed. Wayne never said no to me. Wayne, I need your help on this. Okay. Wayne, I need your help on that. Okay. And the other. Okay. So I was in trial in the capital murder death case, and I lost. I came back beaten and battered from East Texas, and Wayne calls. Hey, man, I got tickets to Minute Maid tomorrow. You want to come with me? Wayne, I'm tired, man. I'm never going back to Southeast Texas. I hate that freaking place. Those people are a bunch of turds, and, you know, I'm not mentally healthy enough to go to a baseball game tomorrow. And he said, no, we got tickets, man. I got them on the 3rd row. Steve Saka's coming and Keith, and they want to spend the afternoon with you. You're coming. Sure enough, the next day, the 4 of us are sitting there, and I still have that mental picture of how much he cared for me. That's priceless stuff, man. Those are the memories that you're creating today, you younger guys. Get in there and scratch and claw. Do the David Cunningham. Be fired up. Wayne is everything I'm not. He's tall. He's got hair. He's smart. But he's patient and he's kind. He never, ever, I've never seen him lose his composure. If you've ever been in the courtroom with me, that cannot be said about me. Ever. So, but Wayne's life had a clear path, and this is what you young people need to hear. He and Susan chose family first. They prioritized the family. He drove carpool every day until Josh got his driver's license. And he went to work. He saved people's lives. And he never missed a child's event, ever. It's playing out that way now. He won't miss his children's events, his grandchildren's events. He is totally committed to being able to serve everyone at all times. Maybe he compartmentalizes it in a way I'm not able to, but this man is dependable for all of us. So how did this guy become our superhero? Man, you got to find that Little League picture. Rivervale, New Jersey. Now, you're about to get a history lesson, because I certainly did. Wayne is a son, a brother, an athlete, an academic. He commits his best to each day's endeavors. He does that every day. He gives his best each day to each minute. He is never distracted, but he always keeps his family first. He always keeps his family first. He's a devout husband to Susan. He literally worships her. Tonight is about both of them, because both of them did this. It was a team effort. Wayne, some of you need to know, still holds several high school track records from New Jersey. He was a sprinter. He actually ran the pin relays. Anybody else in here run the pin relays? Look around, Wayne. See a hand? Anybody in here run the pin relays? He not only ran the pin relays, he got a gold medal. Okay? And then to just compliment who he is, the coach gave him the keys to the bus to drive the team home. Now, I don't know about you, but at 18 years old, no coach was giving me the keys to shit. I'm sorry, I had to get that one out there. Wayne is the product of a blue collar. Wayne is the product of a blue collar, grassroots, stable environment. Think about what's depicted in that Little League picture. I sure hope you get a chance to see it tonight, but it is full of history. Here's a picture in a little town on the Hackensack River. That's where it started. In 1904, the temperature in Rivervale, New Jersey got to minus 34 degrees, okay? And it was winters like that that drove Susan and Wayne to Houston, Texas. So, and that is true, not minus 34 degrees, but some cold weather. And so, once I got to Houston, I really don't remember ever being without him. The children may all be native Texans, and I never really thought about that until talking to Susan. Kids all might be native Texans, but they still have a little bit of Yankee blood in them. And I want to make sure y'all remember that. Cowboy boots notwithstanding. Rivervale, New Jersey is home of the, listen to this. Rivervale, New Jersey is the home of the Baylor Dragoons massacre. Other than Wayne and me, does anybody else know who the Baylor Dragoons are? Okay, all right, well, listen to this. That happened in 1778. The Baylor Dragoons were Martha Washington's security detail. And they were slaughtered here in Rivervale, New Jersey. If you look up on the picture, the Little League picture, you'll see the stern of the stern plate for the USS Enterprise, the most highly decorated naval vessel from World War II. This is guy's hometown. This is his Little League picture. They're playing baseball at Hoffman Field. Mr. Hoffman was the guy who, when the Enterprise was decommissioned, it was chopped up, cut up by Mr. Hoffman in Rivervale, New Jersey. That picture is not a picture of Little League baseball. That picture is a picture of the history of the United States of America, and Wayne brought it to us. Because of his blue-collar raising, Wayne loves to build, he loves to repair, he loves to paint, and he taught all of his 3 children to do the same thing, and each one has their own toolbox. I've spent so much time at Congregation Beth Israel with Wayne's family that many of his buddies think Marilyn and I are part of the faith. It's always kind of funny when they learn I was raised Baptist. But I did marry a good Catholic. Wayne Hill's traits: kindness, honesty, integrity. He's whole, he's present, he's measured, he's respectful, he's poised, he's courageous, he's reverent, he's irreverent. He's competent, patient, committed, never boastful or self-promoting. Most of all, he's gracious. Wayne and Susan have set the bar high for us. You all know that Wayne worships Susan. He never misses a single solitary event for his grandchildren or his children. Last night, they were in the playoffs. He's at the playoffs for his grandsons. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the finest man buddy a Cajun kid from Southeast Texas ever had the good fortune of knowing. He earned it the hard way, the right way. He cared. Please stand and welcome my hero and yours, the Honorable Wayne Martin Hill.
Love you too. All right, thank you very much. So obviously we were told that this was to be limited to 10 minutes, divided between the presenter and the speaker. So I've got about 30 seconds, but I'm going to try to encapsulate a few things that I really wanted to address. My good friend, Mr. Schiffer, has already stolen stuff from me. I guess he hacked into my computer. That's right. So honestly, we could spend a lifetime hoping to find a friend as genuine and as loving as Gerald. I found it 40 years ago, and it's never ended. Gerald, I love you. Marilyn, you got a great husband. And I just can't thank you enough for the kind words that you said to me. Thank you. And Gerald and I, by the way, have had some interesting times together. I don't know if you recall Fort Worth years ago when we were at the Advanced Criminal Law Seminar. Gerald and I and Richard Frankoff had spent the evening to dinner, had a few too many drinks, and then we came upon a taxi driver who was very impressed with his 98 Oldsmobile. A lot of the people here do not even know what an Oldsmobile is. And we hooked up with this guy who was so happy. It was a Naugahyde interior that was completely redone. Gave him $100, and he gave us a tour of Fort Worth, including the time when we went down to the fountains and decided to jump in. Somehow we got back to the hotel unscathed and got back to Houston. Those are the kind of times that I've had with Gerald, and I've loved him. I want to take a moment to again address the reason that this particular banquet is such a success and is so well attended is because of Christina. She has worked tirelessly. Gerald mentioned how I spend time at my grandchildren's baseball and softball games. Last weekend, I'm getting a call from Christina wanting to make sure that everything was just the way it was supposed to be. And I mean, she just worked endlessly. And she has grown this organization into what it is today. Rob had mentioned some of the things that the organization stands for, and one of the things that I think needs to be really highlighted is the fact that the members, all of the members, are readily available for anybody at any time. We can reach out to any of us, and we do routinely. Just last week, 2 weeks ago, I reached out to Danny Easterling. I needed a name of a particular expert. Like 10 seconds later, I'm getting an email with it. Reaching out to David Cunningham, anybody here, we've all shared information with one another because that's who we are. This group is really amazing, and I'm very humbled to be receiving an award in the name of Richard Racehorse Haynes. Just being mentioned along with his name is quite an honor. And I guess we were thinking, when I was first approached about it, I was thinking, okay, do I want to have a Lifetime Achievement Award, which, like Paul had suggested, is really a longevity award, or do I want to have a memorial award? And I would really rather have the longevity award because I wanted to see what Gerald was going to say about me. He did not disappoint. So honestly, it's very nice to have these accolades in a professional sense, but my real lifetime achievement is sitting at that table. My wife, Susan, of 48 years. My son, Josh, who makes me call him Your Honor every day. My daughter, Taryn, and my son, Matt, who is in Sedona with his wife, Beth, celebrating their anniversary, long-planned trip. And I also want to recognize my daughter-in-law, Lauren, and my son-in-law, Dan. They are really not in-laws, they are part of our family. Also, I want to recognize the same type of friendship and love that I have for Gerald extends to the people that are sitting at table number 17. Lifelong friends, Phil and Linda Boyko, Ari and Rhonda Bass, Steve and Rhoda Seka, Gary and Maureen Tucker, and Maureen's sister, Judge Hillary Unger, and her fiance, Mark. And I also want to note, because you've heard about them, my 8 grandchildren, who all of these kids gave to me, that is just the love of my life. So everybody's kind of had a few anecdotal comments that they wanted to make, and I hope that I have the privilege of using actual language, which may be a little salty for this group. I know you've probably never heard things like this before, but I want to tell you a couple of things that stand out in my professional career. First thing was the very first defense case that I had was an aggravated robbery in the Honorable I.D. McMaster's court. Many people here have no idea who I.D. McMaster was. He's a great judge, the 179th District Court. I had been a prosecutor in there. I left the DA's office in 1982 to start my own practice. And ID had reached out to me and said, I'd like to appoint you to this case. I accepted. I met with my client, who had no interest in talking to me. He found out that I had been a prosecutor and I had been appointed. Enough said. He had no reason to want to share any information with me. His family was actually very nice and cooperated with me. We went to trial. Eyewitnesses, things seemed to be going pretty well for the defense. When the state rested and we concluded the evidence portion, the judge said, Mr. Hill, do you have any objections to the court's charge? And I said, Judge, I believe the evidence has raised robbery and theft from person. So ID turned to Marlene Swope, the court reporter, and said, Marlene, go ahead and add robbery and theft from person. My client turned to me in open court and said, you motherfucker, when I started this case, I had one charge. Now you got me charged with 3. And he was acquitted. Another case, my dear friend Bob Loper is here, and I hope that his son Brad was going to be here, but he dutifully is coaching his daughter's softball team. And we had a capital murder case in the 184th District Court, which was the most unbelievable experience because our client, who had been accused of killing 5 people in a love fest gone wrong, went ahead and stood up one day when we were picking the jury, and there was a pool on the chair that he was sitting on in the old 7th floor jury room. And I looked at Bob and he looked at me and I said, what is that? And we turned to our client and he says, well, I got this like pus-filled boil on my ass. And I said, oh my God. And we approached the judge and said, we need a continuance. We need to find out what this is about. And she said, no, we can continue, but I'm ordering you to stay at least 3 feet away from your client. And I said, I'm not in a strip joint, Judge. I just want to go ahead and make sure that he's okay, and I don't want to touch him in any event. That same case, I moved to recuse the judge when she would allow the state to have ex parte communications with her. And then ultimately, we had a recusal motion presided over by George Godwin, who had already ruled that it was not going to be granted when we started presenting testimony. And when the presentation was over and everybody sat down, the judge came back on the bench, and I stood up and I said, may I approach? The judge said, yes, Mr. Hill. And I looked to the court reporter and I said, don't take this down. And the poor prosecutor who was trying his first capital case came up to the bench, and I said, Judge, I just want to be the first one to welcome you back to the trial. And the poor prosecutor thought he was going to be held in contempt for me being a wise ass. But anyway, so, you know, one thing throughout the years, I've been doing this for 44 years, and one thing has remained constant in my practice, and I think in everybody's practice here, and that is, it's not about us, it's about the client. And there are a lot of difficulties. There's a lot of experiences that we go through where clients get upset, they lash out. We always need to maintain civility. We always need to maintain professionalism. It's hard sometimes when you come into contact with prosecutors who maybe they're having a bad day, maybe they just don't know enough, but they can be rude, they can be insensitive, and you just need to go ahead and not worry about it and just go on down the road. A couple of weeks ago, I'm in a misdemeanor court talking to a young prosecutor, trying to explain why the case needs to be dismissed based on their facts, not mine, their facts, and I'm met with the response, well, counselor, I don't know how long you've been practicing law. I just shook my head like this and walked away. Enough said. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow. Oh, sure.
Picture.
Hold it, Bob. I can't do that. All right.
Congratulations.
Good luck.
All right, our next Lifetime Achievement Award for 2021 goes to Wendy, Aikens, Pastorini, and if Santron could come up, please.
Good evening. My name is Sun Tran, and I'm proud to present the Lifetime Achievement Award to Wendy Aikens Pastorini. When I think of Wendy as a trial lawyer, there are two qualities that I think of the most. The first one is her dedication to her clients, and the second one is her fearlessness. And so let me tell you a quick story about when I first saw this in her, and it was my first trial experience with her. 2007, I had just gotten out of law school, waiting on the bar results. Wendy gets called into an assault trial, family assault, boyfriend, girlfriend, but really ex-girlfriend beat up, or current girlfriend beat up ex-girlfriend, and he stepped in to break it up. Anyway, Wendy goes to trial in Montgomery County, and everything, you know, I'm excited. It's my first time watching a trial, and I get to watch Wendy in trial to see how good she is. Complainant finally testifies, not a big deal, and then now it's Wendy's turn for cross-examination. Well, Wendy had read before a statement written by the complainant. So Wendy asked the complainant about the statement. She doesn't remember writing it. When he asked the prosecutor for a copy, he says he doesn't have it, and he says it doesn't exist. So this was 2007. I think you guys remember an open file policy, but that policy was you could look at their file, but they wouldn't give you copies, and you couldn't take, or you could take notes, but not take notes verbatim. So Wendy's in a situation where she remembers a statement, but she doesn't have a copy, and everybody is denying that it exists. So the judge obviously doesn't believe Wendy, because why would the prosecutor lie? And judge tells her not to mention it again. Wendy didn't like that, so Wendy continued on with her cross, and she mentioned it. So now the judge is a little angry, and she warns Wendy, you mention it again, I'm going to hold you in contempt. What do you think Wendy does? Of course, she mentions it again, and the judge holds Wendy in contempt for $1,000. Now, keep in mind, I had just gotten out of law school, so I was really poor, and I was like, man, $1,000 is a lot. And you know, hindsight, working with Wendy, you guys know $1,000 for contempt is kind of high. You know, normally it's only a couple hundred. So anyway, Wendy's down $1,000, and she's cross-examining this complainant, and for some reason she needs to bring up the statement again, which she does. Judge looks at her, judge is angry, holds you in contempt, another $1,000. So now Wendy is in the hole $2,000. I'm freaking out. I just got out of law school. I was taught, you know, judges own the courtroom, don't piss them off. I guess Wendy missed that day in law school. So Wendy keeps on going, just fighting for her client. Her client's here, you know, watching her get held in contempt for money. Wendy mentions it again. Judge holds her in contempt. That's another $1,000. So she's in the hole $3,000 now. And then the court takes a break, and I turn to Wendy, and you know, I tell Wendy, hey, you keep this up, you're gonna lose money on this case. I was basically telling her what I thought is a logical thing, which is chill out. And I'll never forget what she told me, because it was something that made me feel ashamed of myself when she told me that. But she looked at me and she said, I don't give a, he didn't do it, I'm not gonna let him get convicted of it. And so at that moment, I was like, man, I was talking about money, but Wendy, she just, at this point in time, she just did not care. You weren't going to bully her with contempt and make her stop trying for her client. And then just a side note, one time after a murder trial with Wendy, the sitting judge of the trial actually filed a actually filed a grievance against Wendy. And I know Wendy's embarrassed, but it was so stupid. The judge, to paraphrase, he said that he thought there was something wrong with Wendy because she was fighting too hard for her client, which that didn't even make sense to me. But anyway, the grievance committee or whatever, they dismissed it. They didn't even really ask her for a response. Anyway, so I learned from Wendy that day that the dedication to your client, you have to be fearless. You have to fight and fight like hell, and don't let the judge get in your way if you're fighting for your client. And then ultimately, the story does have a happy ending, because when we got back from the break, of course, Wendy mentions the statement again. And so now the judge doesn't know what to do. So she orders the police department or the sheriff's department to physically go down to their office and bring the original file. And then before the trial was up, they brought the file. Sure enough, there was a statement in their file. And so prosecutor was obviously lying, complainant was lying, and then after that, Wendy was going to get what she wanted, and she walked out of there with a not guilty. And then finally, as we were packing up her stuff leaving, I turned to Wendy and I'm like, okay, how does this work? So where do we go to pay this $4,000? And what I call just a classic Wendy response, she was like, I've been held in contempt before. That judge didn't know how to do it right. We don't have to pay anything. So we walked out of there. Anyway, that's my story. I'm so proud of Wendy. I think she's so deserving. She puts her heart into her cases more than her economic benefit. So please welcome Wendy Aikens Pastorini.
Well, first of all, I want to talk about how I found out I had been awarded this breathtakingly incredible honor. Most people know that I don't get emotional about many things. I've been emotional about one thing when I found out that my unborn child was going to be a boy. I was so excited I burst into tears. Well, I got a call from Mark Thiessen about a year ago, and he said, I just wanted to call and let you know that you've been awarded this incredible honor. And the unemotional person, that my voice is cracking now, I can't believe I'm telling this story, I burst into tears again. To be appreciated by your peers is one of the highest honors that you can have. I find it second only to the honor of being the mother of my son, who is a fabulous, fabulous lawyer in his own right. I will tell you that I want, first of all, before I get off into some topic that will not take too long, I promise you that, I want to say how proud or how thankful I am for Christina Atfeld. She did a fabulous job. These pictures, I don't even know where they come from. When she called me, she said, I need some pictures of you as a lawyer. And I go, listen, we defend the wrongfully accused. We don't get a lot of pub after we win. They want to, tar and feather us sometimes. But so I said that would be. I said, but I don't really have any pictures. I did have one picture, and that was that one of all the women. It was on the screen a little while ago. It's a bunch of women. It was at Myron Love's portrait hanging in the one out of the 177th, and he was a fabulous judge. And we were all sitting there. I think there were 11 of us. That was the female defense bar in 1986. 11 women. I had just left the DA's office, not just, but a few months before, and I was the 7th woman hired by the DA's office. I was only out of 7 women, I was the only one of 2 that was under 50 years old and not assigned to the appellate division. I have to really thank Carol Vance for giving me the opportunity to learn to practice law in front of some of the most fabulous judges. that we had great judges back then, and we had nightmare judges. And that's where I really learned, you know, show respect every chance you get for the good ones. And just remember that the bad ones can't eat you. They're not, you're going to walk out of this courtroom and go back to your office, and it gives you a sense of duty to your client. Right, you know, good judges make good rulings. They don't always rule in your favor, but bad judges, they make comments, they act a fool, and I mean, it's just, you know, it's just a miserable experience. But the good ones, we like Josh Hill. And Wayne, I want you to know, I think you did an outstanding job on your son. He is a fabulous judge. And I hope no one ever runs against him, ever, because he is such a good man. And we need more Josh Hills in this world. And I'd like to also say something very kind about David Adler. There is not a finer human being in the legal profession than David Adler. And I'm on the CJA panel, the Criminal Justice Act panel. And when you call David for anything, he always answers the phone, always. And if he says, I can't talk right now, I'll call you right back, give me 30 minutes or something, you could set your watch on that 30 minutes because he'll call you back. He is such a fine man, and I'm so proud to see that he was honored tonight. I want to talk a little bit about, you talked about your son and your family. I'm so honored to have my son and his wife, my stepdaughter, my beautiful stepdaughter, and my two adorable grandkids, Knox and Charlotte. They you know, it's a school night, and my daughter-in-law, the mother of those precious children, said it's okay for them to come. And I just can't tell you how well behaved they've been, and that makes me very happy. But my son met her. He went over to Prague to do a study abroad. I guess it was a class. It was a 5-day class. And in that week, he met Chief Justice John Roberts, who taught that class over in Prague. And he also met my beautiful daughter-in-law, who is from Slovakia. And I mean, it was a red letter week for my son. They got married, and they're living, 8 years happily ever after, and have 2 beautiful children. And my Lifetime Achievement Award, of course, this will choke me up too. I share it with my son. If he hadn't have been such a strong kid growing up, there'd been no way that he could have endured life with me as a mother. He followed rules when he knew that the rules were right. And if he didn't follow rules, he would talk to me with reason. I just knew he was going to be a lawyer. He would explain to me why he felt the way he did and why he was going to do the way he did things. And I didn't cook dinner at night. I'm not a cook, but we ate out a lot. And he was the only 6-year-old I've ever met that could eat with chopsticks. But it's the best one of the many great things about him is when I tried that case that I ended up getting the Lawyer of the Year award for. It was a young lady who shot her father in the back of the head while he was sleeping, and we were able to raise the defense of self-defense, and we got a not guilty. But in that trial, this was tried. She was 14 years old. You couldn't find a bailiff in the Juvenile Justice Center. Nothing ever bad happened to there, so you just would show up and, they could start screaming and ranting. So I came home that night, we went to dinner, and I said, let me tell you what happened today. My client was accosted and confronted by the dead man's family, and they were ranting and raving, and we got out of the courtroom, and bailiffs never came at all. No, nothing was ever done about that. And Anthony said, Mom, I'm going with you to court next time. And my son's kind of tough, and he had to be tough. He had me for a mother, but he had to get. He said, I'm coming to school. I'm skipping school, and I'll come, and I'm going to walk with y'all in there, and I'll walk with her out. And I said, you can't hit anybody, Anthony. And he goes, I'm not going to hit anybody. I'm not going to. And I said, well, don't be confrontational. I'm not going to be, just don't worry, just don't worry. For about 6 different times, we showed up in court with that little girl. He walked in with us, and nobody said a word to him. They never said a word to me, and they never said a word to her. They were off in the corner, like giving us the evil eye and stuff, but we went in, we went out, everything happened beautifully. I was amazed at the way he handled it, but he commanded, authority there, and they didn't confront him. And when I got the award, as if it didn't get bad enough, him skipping school to come and help me in that regard, he had his criminal law final, and that was not a good final for him because it turns out I thought that his professor at South Texas College of Law was a friend of mine, a kind of a colleague, because she started right after me in the DA's office. Well, little did I know that let's just say he introduced himself and told her that he was my son, and I mean, she couldn't have been less excited about it. But he's resourceful. Let me tell you, he didn't go to her and say, my mom's getting an award tomorrow night, and I know we have a final, but I want to be there. I'd like to be there for her. He realized that he didn't want to start a range war over at South Texas, so he went straight to the dean and got permission to be able to take his final, not the night of my award, and he had to take it a day early, so I wasn't worried about that. He lived with criminal law. I knew he was going to do well, and he did. And life went on, and I was so thrilled and so honored that he came. I just love him. He went to law school, and he said, Mom, I think I want to be a criminal defense lawyer. And then after he got out for half a dozen weeks or so, he said, I think I'm going to be a plaintiff's attorney. I'm going to be a personal injury lawyer. He said, I don't want to work as hard as you do. And it's funny because now he's been a lawyer for 5 or 6 years. You can see him if you make an appointment on Sunday. He comes home at night. He's got, his wife, this beautiful lady takes him lunch every day. He's got 2 precious, well-behaved kids, or they wouldn't even be able to come tonight. And I'm just so proud of them. I'm so proud of son Tran. We practiced together for about 7 years. I just hired him on a whim from law school, and he taught me more about computers than I could ever forget, but not enough to survive in this world that we live in. Half the time I call my sister KD's and I have to figure out, how do I file this? I have to get another damn password? I don't want any more passwords. And that's the thing that we have to do. And she helps me through it all, and helps me, David. I know this may or may not be a good thing to say, but she helps me fill out those vouchers that we have to fill out for the CJA panel in federal court, because it's a monumental task. But anyway, Anthony, you are my lifetime achievement. The Push and Win law firm, you see, billboards all over town, but he is my lifetime achievement. And thanks to you, I was able to earn the Lifetime Achievement Award from this wonderful organization that I don't even know half of the people in here. You're all new faces. And I'll tell you, if there's ever anything that you need from me, any advice I can give, you want any help in trying a case, let me know. I'm happy to work with you in any way I can. My son, I'm going to brag on a few other lawyers now, not just Josh Hill, but Texas Monthly honored my son with as an upcoming star in litigation, a rising star, not upcoming, rising star in litigation. But I'm gonna let you know that I'm not the only one that had the honor of that event. My dear friend and former office mate Stan Schneider's son, Michael Schneider, was also awarded the Rising Star in the Legal Profession Award, and Judy and Ken Mingeldorf their son Tommy was also awarded that honor. I can say I know I did a lot wrong as a mother. I would, I hope that my son will find in his heart one day to forgive me. But I will say, like with Wayne and Stan and the Mingledorfs and myself, we must have done something right. And with all that, I say thank you, Anthony. Thank you, HCCLA. Thank you, Suntran. And God bless you all. Okay.
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
And our next 2021 Lifetime Achievement Award goes to Gus Safers, and this will also be presented by Brent Mayer.
All right, last but not least, to be great, you have to surround yourself with greatness. Gus Safers is been practicing for 47 years and has spent a lifetime of achievement in criminal defense. I got to know Gus through Paul, and if you have a federal case, I've worked with lots of good federal lawyers. David Adler, everyone's just said glowing things about him, and he is a phenomenal federal attorney. But Gus has been, if you have a federal case, Gus is the person you want to be talking to. He has had an exceptional career in federal court. A lot of you young lawyers are thinking, who is this guy? I remember when I was a prosecutor, I was like, who is this guy? But when you step into federal court, I think a true testament as to his reputation is when you see the judges here in the Southern District of Texas, when you see them, their eyes light up when he walks into the courtroom. He is a consummate gentleman, has exceptional knowledge of federal law, and had the pleasure of working with him on multiple cases. We both represented together a woman who was a equal opportunity employer, sending pipe bombs to both President Obama and to the governor, Greg Abbott. Gus really, though, has been an exceptional friend and an exceptional lawyer. He's deserving of this award. Again, I encourage all the young lawyers in this room to listen to what he has to say as well. He has wisdom, he has knowledge, but he is a good friend, and he is a good gentleman, and he's definitely deserving of this award. Ladies and gentlemen, Gus Safers.
Thank you all, particularly Christina, who has worked so hard. I've never won anything before, and if this is the first thing I had to win, I'm glad I won it. But that's really not true. I won the lottery 48 years ago when I met my wife and we got married. And about 10 years later, she brought me my son, who's here tonight, and thank you, Josh. When I got out of law school, I met Sherman Ross, who is at our table tonight. And he gave me some great advice. He said, Gus, if you want to be a Texas criminal trial lawyer, you need to get some cowboy boots and a Rolex watch. And I got them both. There are a lot of people that made this night possible. Ed Millett, Tom Berg, Sam Dick, who I tried my first capital case, and we actually got a reversal from the Court of Criminal Appeals, and the case was dismissed. Dick DeGuerin, Racehorse Haynes, who I spent 5 months in a federal trial in Beaumont with to a hung jury. I've been blessed with the help and assistance of so many of you, and I rely on each and every one of you. And the main thing that I've always remembered, if you looked at the pictures that were up there tonight, it's always your family that helps you the most. And but for them, I would not be here. They put up with me going all over the country, all over the world. I've been to England, I've been to Alaska, I've been everywhere. The other important thing that you always have to have as a criminal defense attorney is a psychiatrist. And I brought mine here tonight, and I would like to introduce to you my psychiatrist, Mr. Paul Schiffer. If he'd stand, please. I know that some days I probably talk to him more than I talk to my wife and more than I talk to my son. We visit sometimes 3 or 4 times a day, usually on the way to work, on the way home from work. And when I'm crying because I lost when I should have won, or when I'm celebrating because I won when I should have lost, he's always there to listen to me. Thank you very much, Paul Schiffer. Thank you all.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bob Rosenberg, got a real picture.
Try to keep it short.
Oh, that's great. That was it. Okay, and as a result of the pandemic, we weren't able to award our 2020 Lawyers of the Year in person, so I wanted to recognize them. Wendell Odom, Neil Davis III, and Brian Hobson for our 2020 Lawyers of the Year. Congratulations. And then also our 2021 Lawyers of the Year, Brent Mayer and Mandy Miller. Congratulations. Now, last but definitely not least, our 2022 Lawyer of the Year to Jonathan Vela, Mr. Vela. 2020. We have all the Vela brothers that are presenting for their other brother. We just know him as JV at the courthouse. And so we're going to have his brothers come up to introduce him and present his award. And just briefly, it's like, I've been at the courthouse for 22 years, a whole lot less period of time than a lot of you. But JV's been down there just trying cases through the pandemic, when all of us were scared and ended up having to deal with COVID, I think in no small part to being down there trying cases. So I would invite him up to the stage with his brothers to present the award. Too many Velas, sorry.
It's all right. Good. Hey everybody, my name is Jacob Vela. It's just our honor and pleasure to introduce our brother, J. Julio Vela. If you ask Lincoln, if you ask Cruz, if you ask Zach, if you ask July, JV is the father of the century. If you ask Jonathan or I, he is the brother of the century. If you ask 99.99999% of lawyers in HCCLA, he's a lawyer of the year. But 99.99999%, it was almost unanimous. It was almost unanimous. There was one vote that didn't go to JV. And I want to know who you are. The one vote that didn't go to JV for Lawyer of the Year was JV. He didn't vote for himself because that's not who he is. But he should have. I love you. I'm so proud of you. Dad would be so proud of you. We have 5 Vela tables over here if you want to say hello. Here's my brother Jonathan.
Jed got me really excited. I thought I was Lawyer of the Year for a second. No, I'm just kidding. Welcome to the Vela Family Reunion. I want to everybody shout out to Campito and Uncle Rene back in the back. Now, each year this great organization, the largest local defense bar in the entire nation, bestows an honorary award on one of its members. Sometimes for notable trial victories, sometimes for the person's sometimes for the person's bettering of this organization, sometimes for the person's influence on the criminal defense bar at large. This year, the member bestowed with this honor qualifies in all 3 areas. They call him J. Julio Vela. I don't know what the IRS calls him, frankly. But I am so honored and humbled and just so grateful to call him my big brother. JV, I love you more than words can describe. I echo all of the sentiments that Jacob said, and I'm so very proud to call you my big brother. I know that this entire organization is proud to call you Lawyer of the Year. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce my big brother, my role model and best friend, J. Julio Vela.
I'm wearing sleeves today. Look, Mom. Let's get real. The only reason I'm here, the only reason I'm able to stand here is because about 14 years ago, someone took a chance on me and said, "You go be." And that's to my wife, Kimberly Vela. And let's not pretend like I've been doing anything different for the last 14 years. Go to court, defense ready, we'll set it for trial. Go to char. But it took no less than 1 year with my 2 brothers becoming lawyers for me to stand here. So the idea that I've done something different in the last year is wrong. It's because I got 2 brothers who put me here and this award, and that's why this award is just as it is mine as it is Jonathan and Jacob's. I'd like to acknowledge my mom. Where are you at, Mom? My mom's here. The rest of the Velas. My son, Lincoln Lee. My dad, who's up there. I know he's toasting and celebrating. My uncle, Dr. Rene Vela, his brother, who in 1 generation went from the watermelon cotton picking fields of Realitos, Texas, to the front and on this stage in 1 generation. I am but one story of 1,000 that HCCLA has. I am but one memory that this organization provides to us. I remember the first banquet that I went to. I went by myself. You know, they sell single tickets to these things. About one ticket. And I had to overdraft my debit card to get it. Because I joined, remember Sarah? Where are you at, Sarah? I joined the HCCLA Mentor-Mentee program. And they said I had to go to the banquet to meet my mentor. So I overdrafted my debit card. I bought the $100 ticket. And I came. And I got to meet Joe Varela. And he dropped a pile of motions on me, and we went to work on our first case. It was one of them theft by check cases. And Brandon Leonard, where are you at, Brandon? I knew I was supposed to serve the DA. What do you mean serve him? Like, what do you mean? And so I went with a stack of these motions that Joe Varela gives me. And I'm chasing Brandon Leonard down, and Brandon stops me in the back and says, dude, I don't know who you are, because he's the DA at this time. I don't know who you are, but I don't have time for this. And we ended up getting that case dismissed. You know, Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association is about something bigger. It's about believing in something as a group that maybe together we can do something to change and to influence in some sort of positive way. Our mission is to assist, support, and protect the criminal defense practitioner in the zealous defense of individuals and their constitutional rights. That is our mission statement. And assist me, you did. HCCLA assisted me when I was losing over and over and over and over and over. Wait, that was last month. I lost my first 16 jury trials in a row. Remember Daniel? Daniel Cahill. One day we were walking back on like loss 15. I'm like, Daniel, are we ever going to win anything? And my Facebook Messenger pops up and it's, how about them apples? And I'm sitting there like, Mark Thiessen and Tyler Flood are winning these .95s. And I can't win the .06. Jed too. And every single time I sat there and asked Troy, and he answered my call. Jed, Tyler, Damon, where you at? Every single time HCCLA assisted me until one day I got the most brilliant idea, the most brilliant tactic, and it was from Todd. It's called the boot defense. You ever heard of it? So I'm losing, man, and I don't know what to do. And Todd says, no, man, just go in there and put a boot in a box, an empty box, and just roll into court. And you're going to scare the hell out of them. So I did. I got a box, I put a boot in it, and I rolled up to misdemeanor court like I owned the place, and I put it on the table, and the DA's, oh my God, what has he got? What has he got? And they dumped it. And I said, you can't teach things like this. HCCLA has assisted me, and they sure have. And that's why this award is just as much mine as it is yours. Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association is here to support the criminal defense practitioner in the zealous defense of individuals and their constitutional rights. We, as defense attorneys, signed up for what I believe is the most rewarding venture that one could. But man, it's hard. We get tired. We get sad. And we look at things that normal humans shouldn't ever in their lifetime, and we do it over and over and over again. And again and again and again. And you just want to break down and cry and quit. But it's this group that has supported me. And that support has come. When we're down and when you're frown, there's someone there to bring a smile to your face, whether it's Shelby or Caitlin out in Court 6. Whether it be my friends at the local char. Whether it be anyone, we support each other. That is why this award is just as much mine as it is ours. HCCLA is here to protect the criminal defense practitioner in the zealous defense of individuals and their constitutional rights. There is nothing better than I have of the memories in this organization with the rally cry from Rob Fickman. Get here now because some judge is doing something crazy and we need all hands on deck. And we run and we protect each other for anything. And that is why this award is just as much mine as it is y'all's. Harris County gives us strength. Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association has given me the confidence to go out and be. It has allowed me to believe in myself and be brave, because we, as members of the defense bar, support, assist, and protect each other. For all that are here, friends, Abby, one of my best ofs, thank you for everything. And so long as I'm alive, and so long as I have breath in my body, I am HCCLA. We are HCCLA. And go forward, set that case for trial, go fight them, because as long as we're here, I got your back. But more importantly, HCCLA has your back. I love you.
And all of that was on a cocktail napkin. Left out of my program, and definitely last but not least, is we have one more Lifetime Achievement Award to Bob Loper, presented by his son, Brad Loper. Excuse me? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Lawyer of the Year Award that I didn't bring up is the Lawyer of the Year Award for 2020 to Bob Loper. Sorry. 9:30. Okay. And for everybody, our silent auction ends at 9:30. Well, that was great. I really appreciate, that was just a great program. It was so long past due. And I know I've missed it every single year since the pandemic. There's a couple of things that we have coming up. We have the annual Crawfish Boil that's coming on Saturday, May 21st at noon at Astraw Brewery. The bars are still open. I appreciate everybody coming. Thank you very much.